or he was like the greatest Bloodsport champion ever.
That could be it.
He was the Steph Curry of Bloodsport.
He was the child Steph Curry of Bloodsport.
He was inventing new moves every day.
He invented the 3-point shot.
Right.
The 3-point kill.
Hello, and welcome to the Tabletop Travel Guide. We are back.
Yep.
We are the podcast where we explore fictional worlds and civilizations right from the comfort of our own table. I'm Tyler, and since December, when we last released an episode, this week, I played Season of Ghosts. And
nice. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so my Thursday group is in Season of Ghosts. We met a doctor and remembered to get poison to kill some people.
Very succinct.
Yeah. Nice and chill. And there's some blood rain.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Blood rain's good too.
Mm-hmm.
Good. I'm Ryan. I've done no table topping with any other person. I do have my small Ironsworn game still occasionally going, my solo game. God, even that I haven't played. What did I do last in that? Oh, I killed a boss.
Nice.
Yeah, it was like a blood fae.
Nice.
It was pretty cool.
Well, then you're doing the letter writing thing.
We are doing the letter writing thing, which everybody got. It took about a month, but everyone got one letter in.
Yeah.
So I think we'll probably average a month a letter.
Okay.
That's a week, a paragraph a week.
Cool.
Roughly.
Nice.
Yeah, no one died. So yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
And I'm the new hire, Rodney.
Hi, Rodney.
Hi, Rodney.
No, I'm the guest to the podcast here. Long-time listener, first-time caller, I guess you could say.
Yeah. So the people who are watching on video will have noticed this is not Sam, or Sam looks way different after she had a baby. So
They do say it changes you. So.
Yeah.
So Tyler wrote a couple scripts in the Discord. We figured out the address, home telephone number, and social security number of the person who listened the most, and then Tyler and I rented a black van, and we kidnapped Rodney. So
Yeah.
Here I am.
Yeah. So Rodney was in town this week, and we were like, heck yeah, we want to hang out. It's a busy weekend. Let's record a podcast.
There you go.
So we actually tried to record this episode, a month ago?
Yeah, and it lasted about 5 minutes.
Yeah, me, Ryan, and Sam, and we realized that having an infant schedule and a 2-year-old schedule are opposite schedules.
Really hard.
Yeah.
So what we are going to try to do, and this is our first foray into it, is bring on some guest hosts.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll probably have 2 of us from the OG cast and then a third guest host. So today it is Rodney.
I'm glad to be the inaugural guest host,
Yeah.
I guess.
So Rodney, tell us about how did you get into Pathfinder?
So Pathfinder specifically, our mutual friend Connor invited me to play with you guys actually in the Abomination Vaults. I think at that time it was like the Monday group. I think you guys reference it as, but yeah, I had been into D&D before that, usually 5e, and I tried to get groups together, but could never get anything to stick. And then one day I was playing games with Connor, and he was like, "We have a group," and I was like, I would like to play. And the next day I joined you guys, and
nice.
Ever since I've been.
Man, and then you are now in 3 different campaigns?
Yes.
Busy man.
I am currently GMing Hell's Rebels, trying to convert it myself to 2E. GMing Season of Ghosts, so I can't talk about that too much with you. And I'm playing in Triumph of the Tusks. So
Nice.
Nice.
Oh man, I want to play Triumph of the Tusks.
so far it's fun. We're just getting into the meat of it. So
Nice. Okay. So remember, you can support us on our Patreon. We have been getting some feedback and gonna change some things about our Patreon, so more to come on that. But there's a link in our show notes and also a page on our website, and you can search us at Tabletop Travel Guide Podcast on Patreon itself. Like I said, we're trying a little bit new format. We might not be able to get every other week like we've been, but
We'll figure something out.
yeah, we'll figure some out. We'll get back to it.
you got to get the people wanting more. So
Yeah. We just gotta make them really miss us.
yeah, the larger the
yeah,
absence,
sure.
the more they'll be crazed
Yeah.
when you guys get back.
Sure.
All successful podcasts go silent for several months at a time.
That's the best way to do it.
Yeah. So our topic for today, we are finally diving into the Mwangi
I'm
Expanse.
excited.
Yeah, we touched on it very little when we hit Vidrian,
Mm-hmm.
but that was kind of like colonial, so
Yes.
not as like full on Mwangi.
There's a taste.
Yeah, little taste. So today we are diving into the city-state known as Mzali.
Mzali.
Mzali. So before we dive in, the sources I used for this are the Mwangi Expanse lore book, Lost Omens, the Mwangi Expanse.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
It's
right
over
next to
there.
me. Looked at it. And then the Pathfinder wiki.
Okay.
So, just to kind of level set where we are. So we are, if you think of Garund as the continent on the south side of the Inner Sea region, or the Inner Sea, Mzali is all the way to the south, just east of Vidrian. So if you think of, coming in from the Arcadian Sea to Vidrian, a little bit farther east, you hit Mzali.
Okay.
So we're like still south, way south.
Okay.
So let's start with the prehistory.
All right.
The history before the history. Mzali is the largest city-state in the Mwangi Expanse.
Cool.
It is one of the oldest kingdoms in that area. It was founded all the way back in minus 308 AR.
Okay. So a long time.
Yeah, so we're like, remember we're in 4725 right now, so it's 4,000,
5,000 years.
5,000
years.
years.
Yeah.
Math.
We brought Rodney for math. So in minus 308 AR, it was founded by a group of warrior monarchs
Cool.
who claimed descent from the god Kolar, or Chohar. Kohar? Chohar. Kohar?
You're looking at the wrong person for pronunciation.
Yeah.
We're going to go with Kohar. Yeah, we're going to have a lot of things we misspoke this season. So Kohar is one of the old sun gods and is the lion god of justice, loyalty, and work.
Cool.
Sounds like a cool guy.
Lions? He's the lion
God of justice.
And work.
And loyalty. Work and loyalty.
Work and loyalty.
So you have to be loyal, just, and work.
Go to work.
Go to work.
You have to do your work. You have Kohar along with the other pantheon of lion and sun themed deities. They were the main gods worshipped in these early days of Mzali.
Cool.
So we've touched on this a little bit, but similar to ancient Osirian, which is kind of Golarion Egypt.
Yeah.
These warrior monarchs were a lot like the pharaohs of Osirian.
Yeah, I was going to say it gives me Egyptian vibes.
Yeah. And as such, just like the Egyptian vibes, when dead royals and retainers passed on, they were mummified and, kind of put in big tombs to be able to protect the city after their death.
Cool. Very cool.
Yeah. Like any powerful city, they soon decided to conquer all of the surrounding regions
Well, that's what
to
you do.
bring the good word of the sun gods.
You got to go some exploring.
Yeah.
What else would you do?
Right? You can't have a good, powerful army without exploring a little bit.
Yeah.
Like any powerful empire, there comes a point of diminishing returns on expansion, and it soon becomes not worth to continue conquering. So
Sure.
that's what happened to them. They conquered their surrounding lands and realized, okay, it's starting to get a little bit big.
I think historians call that natural borders.
Yeah. Once you hit your natural borders. So Rodney, what do you do once you hit your natural borders?
Personally, I'd start killing.
Yeah, exactly. So
I was going to say get a pint of ice cream.
Well, to each their own.
So somewhere in between of killing and getting a pint of ice cream, they turn all their soldiers into gladiators and become obsessed with blood sports. So
Killing. Told you.
he became the gladiators.
Yeah.
Ryan became
the blood ice cream?
the monarchs.
The
who
monarchs. Okay, yeah. Okay.
Eat the ice cream while watching the blood
Sure.
sports.
Yes.
Okay.
At this point, things got a little dark in the monarchs. So they were not just or loyal. They demanded children from nearby areas to train. They had lavish prizes for victors and food and fabric as incentives to attract larger audiences, but basically then just turned all of them against each other, and they just killed people for sport.
Hunger Games?
Kind of, yeah. Like they would just bring some in, and then people would watch, and they were like, "Heck yeah, let's."
Okay.
Kind of like the gladiators.
Yeah, it's giving me Spartacus. Thinking of Spartacus. Where
Okay.
like,
Yeah, so probably similar, maybe a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, probably pretty similar. So it's assumed that this type of life continued for a long, long time.
Of course.
Because the history at this point kind of yada yadas for a while, all the way up to 3967.
Wow.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah. I can't imagine.
4,500 years,
Yeah,
yada yada.
Right? Yeah,
So
I'm like,
we sort of milled about for 4,000
Blood
years.
sport, kids. You know.
you're like, you know how most people just don't bother to do anything about the power hungry nobles
Everyone goes through their child blood sport time in their 20s, okay? It's fine.
in their early minus 300s to their late 30s.
Everyone
900s.
has that phase. It's okay.
Yeah, I imagine
Don't
with
post it on Facebook.
Right.
It's fine.
I imagine with the emphasis on just blood sports, there's not a lot of record keeping going on, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
I would think the opposite. I would think you'd have like a leaderboard. It's like,
It was all
these are
advertisements.
the- Dang it.
At this point, there's a council of shaman priests in the expanse called the Council of Mwangi,
Sure.
that decided a royal family that exploits its people for sport wasn't the best form of government, and they decided to overthrow the Sun Kings.
Nice. Right.
Yeah, I'm not sure how long they'd been around, but they decided enough is enough.
They were established the day before. Enough
Yeah.
is enough.
It's probably way worse if it's like 1,000-year-old council.
Right. We have turned a blind eye for
For far
a
too
millennia too long.
generations have gone by of us doing nothing. No longer.
Yes. So they were very successful in their overthrowing.
Cool.
They not only overthrew all of the alive Sun Kings, but they also managed to go around and destroy every single mummified royal they could find.
That's
That's
what you got to do.
yeah.
Yeah.
You got to
that's-
clean house.
You got to be thorough.
Yep.
It's 4,000 years of cleaning house, though.
Right. Unfortunately, they missed one.
Of course.
Yes. The one they missed was of the child god Walkena,
Oh,
who,
yeah. Okay.
when he was buried, was put into a gladiator's tomb in haste rather than a royal tomb.
Mm.
So, before we come back to that loose end, after they successfully overthrew the current monarchy, they kind of took over and started ruling the empire. Unfortunately, they were better at overthrowing governments than running them.
It do be like that sometimes.
Yeah, so over the centuries, the empire basically just fell apart until only Mzali was left. And then, even then, the city began to fall into decay.
Sure.
So, shamans. Am I right?
I mean, it is kind of hard. You gotta. I will give them some benefit of the doubt. Like your plan gets to the point of and we overthrow the government.
Yeah, and they're like, now what?
Oh,
well, I imagine
we succeeded.
I imagine if your entire government is based on blood sports and gladiator combat, what other if you don't want that anymore, what's left?
Yeah.
It's not a lot of spread around skill sets.
Oh my gosh, we need a Department of Agriculture. What?
What's agriculture?
What does that mean? We forgot about that. So this brings us to 100 years ago in early 47th century AR. And this brings us to the current history of Mzali,
Cool.
Mm.
as it will be known today. So near the beginning of this century, the council, who have been in power for about 800 years. So, I mean,
Good run.
yeah.
Yeah.
Good run.
Solid.
Not the 4,300 that the rest of them had, but pretty good run.
It sounded like
800.
That's still good. Still good run.
it sounded like it basically ran itself for 4,000 years. So
Yeah.
they probably were just like, let's just hit that cruise control button for a little bit longer
Yeah,
while we
for
figure
real.
things out.
So near the beginning of this century, the council received a vision that the empire would rise again. Remember, they're all shaman priests. They saw the future. They're like, make Mzali great again.
We're good.
Sure.
Um,
Man, I feel like you don't want to receive that vision.
No, right?
Never goes how you think it's going to
Yeah.
go.
Especially when you're the ones in charge.
Yeah.
You're like, I assume this person got the vision was like, wait, rise again. Oh no, what
Oh,
is
no.
it right now?
What do you mean again?
Again, you mean not get better? Continue? It was actually around this time that the vision happened and they came across the mummified remains of Walkena, which they viewed as an omen, a good omen. And the council put the mummy on display in the city, which actually drew thousands of Mwangi pilgrims.
Because they thought he was a gladiator.
No, I think they knew he was a royal. So here's the thing I'm not totally sure of. It was like they knew he was, I think they knew who he was.
Yeah.
But it's weird for them to be like, oh, this is a good omen. Let's bring back all the things we tried to take out.
800 years. I guess it's very possible to the initial coup
Yeah.
That's
had
true.
like a perspective, and then 800 years later, it's like, ooh, archaeology.
Yeah.
Well, and especially if the like city's in decay at that point, like
Yeah.
by
Yeah,
that point.
finding a mummified royal leftover is like a good, like, oh, there's some positive here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So all of these pilgrims that were coming in to see the body, or the mummy, they brought gold, salt, gems, and other treasure to
Cool.
pay homage, which helped reinvigorate the economy and bring some much needed wealth to the flagging city.
Okay.
Unfortunately, with any good burgeoning economy and newfound wealth, it also caught the attention of the chillaxing overlords in Sargava.
Sure.
Always got their ear to the ground.
Yeah. Yep. So this was still, remember, this was before Vidrian was
Yeah,
a thing. So this
yeah.
is still Chelish colony, Sargava, and specifically the city of Calabuto.
Cool.
So in 4610, Calabuto raised an army and attacked Mzali, but luckily for Mzali, they were miraculously defeated when the remains of Walkena sprang to life, or unlife, and rained a fiery death upon the invading army.
All right.
Yeah.
I
So,
think in that moment, you're probably like, yes. But
I'm
then-
Team Walkena right now.
Yeah.
right? You're like, oh no, oh yes,
Yeah.
okay.
I'm on board.
We'll take
Yeah.
time to wonder what this is after.
No one think about it.
Do you think there was like a single guard when it happened, like sitting there, like watching, like, did he just move?
I think you just.
Uh
Oh God, what? I had too much to drink last night.
What year is it?
Yeah. So he took no time to then claim Mzali as his own and become the ruler.
Naturally.
Sure.
Technically, yes.
I mean,
It's not wrong.
yeah. Yeah, right? You saved, you came, you burnt down the invading army. I think you deserve the credit of owning the city at that point.
Yeah.
I came, I saved, I conquer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk about who was Walkena
Cool.
pre-mummy.
I have a subtle indication that it's not going to be a pretty picture. But
Or he was like the greatest Bloodsport champion ever.
that could be it.
He was the Steph Curry of Bloodsport.
He was the child Steph Curry of Bloodsport.
He was inventing new moves every day.
He invented the 3-point shot.
Right.
The 3-point kill.
He invented 3-point kill. What is this basketball that this child has? That's why they killed him, because he was too good.
He's too good. He's making us all look bad.
Yeah. So he was born a few decades before the royal family fell.
Makes sense.
And he ruled people as a child god. His power was tied to the harsh, purifying nature of the sun rather than its life-giving aspects. So think fireball versus ray of light or something.
Sure.
Yeah.
That makes sense, though.
Yeah, he sternly interpreted the laws of the land, but he ruled in life with a lot of compassion and mercy.
Okay.
So stickler, but had a lot of compassion for
Yeah.
his people. He died of natural causes at a young age, and like I said, was buried in a gladiatorial tomb.
Yeah.
Kind of just in rush. Yeah, not much more known. Seemed like a pretty decent ruler. So let's talk about who is Walkena.
Uh-oh.
Post BR. No, AR, after risen.
There you go. Yep.
So since he has risen as an undead creature, all traces of that mercy and compassion are gone.
Uh-oh.
You had to leave something behind.
Right. So beyond taking control of the city, he also wants to establish an empire that spans the entire Mwangi expanse. Which, okay, you live in your life.
Sure.
Yeah.
He is very obedience driven insofar as he treats those that are loyal to him very well, and those who question his authority as traitors, which is making me bummed out about our
Yeah.
current state of
So-
affairs.
Yeah.
Topical.
Sure.
Topical. On the slight plus side, he believes that the Mwangi people have been exploited by outsiders, and so believes that the Mwangi are brothers, and that all non-Mwangi should be driven from the region. Which
Probably not wrong.
I know, like kind of at a high level, that's kind of noble cause.
Sure.
Yeah.
But he thinks that he should be in charge.
How
So,
old are we talking here? Like
was he
7?
I think he was
12?
like teens.
Teens?
Like
Okay,
early
that's
teens.
not that bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
For me, I was visually like a 7-year-old.
Yeah. We have to purge.
Yeah.
It's like a 7-year-old. We must purge all non-Mwangis.
Okay. Okay, little Walkena, what do you want to do? Murder. Wise.
Very wise.
Wise beyond your 7 years. Yeah, so I think like early teens.
Okay.
So case in point of why the altruism of believing the Mwangi people should all be together is kind of offset by his a little bit of craziness. Once he drove out the initial attack from Calabuto, he over the years led attacks on Sargava in 4675, 4678, all the way to sacking Calabuto in 4684.
Okay. So he seems competent.
Yeah, so pretty competent.
Or at least he did rain down fire when he
That's competence.
made his big
Can you
debut.
rain down fire?
I
Rodney?
was saying that's competent as a child god. You step on the scene and you're like raining down fire.
That's all you need in a campaign ad.
Yeah.
It's the 3-point shot of
Yeah.
raining down fire.
He's just
At 13.
From the tape.
he's doing hook shots with fireballs.
Yeah, but then like a dude just gets like incinerated on the other side of the room.
They're like, "Where's that going?" And it just hits the one enemy in the corner. He's like,
Look at me. Here it is. However, he wasn't able to fully kind of take over Sargava.
Yeah.
Once the rebels in Sargava overthrew the government themselves and established Vidrian, he was kind of enraged because they did it without his help. Because he thought, he kind of thinks
should've
he
gotten
is the
credit.
only.
it shouldn't
One.
be done without him.
Yeah. Kind of adding insult to injury. Many of his subjects have left for Vidrian in the recent years. And there are now rumors that he's planning to invade Vidrian himself. So,
Man, what a bummer. Imagine you're
Yeah.
like, "We did this for our god," and then he's just like, "No, I was supposed to be there too."
I want it. I want it.
Yeah, that's
yeah,
fine.
not the best trait in a leader,
Yeah.
but it is what it is. So let's talk a little bit about Walkena's powers because I find them very interesting.
Oh boy.
Interestingly, both his powers and his mood are tied to the rising and setting of the sun.
Oh.
Yeah,
That's
so
interesting.
So in the mornings he's joyful, amiable, easy to please, and this is when he makes his rounds around with his priests.
Okay.
So you might see him walking among the markets in the morning,
Yeah.
and he's usually very happy and very, just had his coffee kind of morning.
It's like, so if you want to try to get something,
I was
out of
gonna
him,
say,
you're like,
okay.
"Let me make sure I find where he's going to be tomorrow morning."
Right?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So when his powers peak at noon, when the sun is at its highest, he becomes shrewd and analytical and meets with his council. He oversees projects in the city and meets with visiting dignitaries.
I mean,
Still okay.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah. As the sun sets, he grows paranoid, vindictive, and is quick to issue orders to his secret police.
There it is.
Okay. Yep.
There it is.
Sure.
Yeah. And then at night, he locks himself away and is basically a desiccated corpse until the next, rising of the sun.
Same.
I mean, aren't we all?
Yeah. Life after 30.
Sun goes down.
My daughter goes to sleep. I curl up in the covers
I'll
and
be-
I'm a desiccated
I'll
corpse.
be in my room.
We can all relate. You get a little tired at night, your baby's not going down, and you're like, I wish I could send my secret police to do some things.
People who aren't parents are gonna hate this.
Look, parenting is fantastic. It's just a different life.
Yeah.
Your life is no longer your own.
It's yours and someone else's. That's
Yes.
what makes it worse.
Yeah.
And better.
Yeah.
Both.
Yeah.
Both.
It's good. Yeah, so the only person who basically can see him overnight is the head of his secret police.
Cool. Okay.
It'd be the player part of me would be like that would be a cool job. But just hearing this part of me is like, I wouldn't want to be near him until
Right.
the morning.
Right? Well, it's again, you just don't know, if he's getting paranoid. It doesn't say how many heads of secret police he's had, but it can't be one.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's got to be more than
Not
one.
a lot of
Yeah.
job stability.
Not a
Well,
lot.
you don't want to be that messenger.
Yeah.
You do not want to be that messenger.
Sir, the rebels took Vidrian without us. I'll see you in the morning. And you just
He slips a note under the
Yeah.
tape, under the door that hopefully Walkena won't see
I'll
until he wakes
leave
up.
that for him to read in the morning.
Sleep type, Your Highness. So let's talk a little bit about what life is like in Mzali.
Okay.
So it kind of depends on who you are. So if you're an outsider, good luck. You are basically labeled a traitor from the get-go and put to death at best and turned into an undead servant of Walkena at worst.
Cool.
All right.
And there are a bunch of like undead servants that work in the main palace that just no one really talks about. They're just
It just happened.
just don't think about it.
Don't question.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Bless you.
So if you're a local follower, life is generally more normal, but with the kind of tension of knowing that a few wrong moves could get you pegged as a dissenter by the secret police.
Cool.
So like, if you don't seem as loyal, or if you don't seem as joyful,
Sure,
or like
sure.
any number of things to get you on the suspicious list.
You got to give your morning exaltations. And
Yeah. So there's actually daily prayer times.
see,
It's very religious, where basically he kind of walks out onto the top of his temple, and everyone bows their heads toward the temple where he resides and prays until he decides to leave, which could be a couple minutes, could be a few hours. Depends
Bummer.
on,
Yeah.
depends on what he's vibing with that day.
you got something in the oven.
Yeah. Everybody
Dang it.
knows not to make any plans for the morning because they're like, you don't know how long we're going to be here.
Yeah.
I forgot to put it on warm.
Yeah, you can't start that quiche until after prayer.
Yeah. Beyond that, though, because there's so much crackdown on outside trade, local goods and unique art have been able to flourish.
Okay.
So you'll find artisans with many apprentices who are sought after to keep up with the demand of local goods, because they're the only goods, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
So
Mzali exclusives.
yeah, Mzali exclusives. So if you're a local dissenter, you better do your best to blend in, because if found out, you're going to be tortured and executed.
Cool.
So
As you should.
as you should, as is proper, unless you catch him in the morning.
Praise Walkena.
Yeah, unless,
Praise Walkena.
unless it's like 8 a.m.
Yeah.
I'll let you go this time.
The secret police hold you until 5 p.m.
Yeah.
No, please. Let me talk to him
Let me
now.
talk to
No. Your appointment's at 5 p.m. No.
Dang it!
Not even lunch.
Please give me the shrewd one.
Yeah.
So for the most part, if you're a ritual follower and keep to your head down, life in Mzali is pretty normal. You always have to just be a bit careful.
Okay.
So let's talk about the dissenters, the most famous of which are an organized group called the Bright Lions.
They sound cool.
Yeah, they are led by a former mercenary, Sihar, and they seek to overturn the corrupt rule of Walkena.
Sure.
Their name is kind of taken from the old sun gods.
Yeah.
Of being the lions, so they're
Yeah.
like trying to bring back the
correct sun god.
yeah. So they try to spread their knowledge of the former sun gods, Kohar, Luhar, and Tihar, which since Walkena has been in power, they basically struck all of them from the record. Like any other good dictator, he's like, I've been the only god you've ever had.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they fight against the power by using guerrilla tactics to fight, and they disappear to blend in with the rest of the city.
Okay.
Because you can't really take on a fire-spitting sorcerer
Sure.
head on.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're really kind of doing this in the hopes of kind of reminding people of the kindness in which Mzali's power was once held. So, that's why they're trying to bring back the old sun gods, the old, altruistic, even before the blood sports, back the very early roots of, what Mzali stood for.
Okay.
And the Bright Lions also attempt to make allies outside of the city. Actually, Vidrian is kind of their secret promoter. They're kind of like their big city-state benefactor.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Because, helps them with their network, kind of helps to know what Walkena's thinking
Yep.
to invade. Chilaxian officials have also wanted to help the Bright Lions take down the common enemy, but there's kind of mixed feelings from them to be like, I don't really want the colonizers to come help
Yeah,
us.
we don't want your money.
Yeah, it's like, my enemy is my friend, only goes so far.
It's
Yeah.
like, we'll see how we do without your help for now.
Yeah.
We'll let you know. Again, it's kind of a short but very interesting history.
Mhm.
So kind of brings us to what's going on. It's a prosperous city run by an undead child where life is somewhat normal and you can even thrive as long as you aren't pegged as a traitor. And then we'll see what happens between Vidrian and Mzali. Since Vidrian, I think, became a thing near the end of Pathfinder 1.
Yeah.
Because that was one of the adventure paths. I can't remember which one.
Isn't that related to? That's not Hell's Rebels. No.
No, that's in Cantardio.
That's Ravenel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Shall
but
we-
it happens
It happens at the
Yeah.
end, so it'll be interesting if like anything changes.
Yeah.
In Pathfinder 2.
I was gonna say it reminds me a lot of Hell's Rebels because it's almost like a parallel of there's a rebellious group trying to overthrow this newish leader.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And after they already like overthrew the actual Hell's Rebels, Chilaxia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll see what happens, but that kind of brings us to where we're at.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
Huh. It doesn't seem too bad.
No.
Yeah, it's like one of those keep your head down, do your job.
Yeah.
Especially if you're like a dissenter and you're like a secret worshiper of like I think it was Kohar,
Mm-hmm.
you just be like, I just go to work, do my job.
Yep.
And I'm basically just blending in, and I'm good.
Well, and they say like the dissenters are usually the most religious, quote unquote,
Sure.
because like they're the ones blending in, so like
Mhm.
they are going to do everything to a T.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, good job, Tyler.
Yes.
Thanks.
We know nothing about, at least I know nothing about the Mwangi, so this is very, very interesting.
Yeah, I'm a blank slate.
Yeah.
So
Good.
It's a good start.
yeah.
Well, we'll take a minute to hear a word from our sponsors, potentially,
Yeah, we'll see.
and then we'll get back. Maybe we'll talk about campaign and character. I don't know if we
Yeah.
prepped anything. Or
We'll wing it.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
It's fine.
So we'll see you in a minute.
All right, we are back. Thanks for that word from our sponsor. We've been discussing some campaign ideas for this in Mzali. I think I'm going to start us off.
Yeah, you can go first.
So I mentioned the Hell's Rebels adventure path that I'm both running and trying to manage. So I think my idea is something along the lines of that, where it's maybe taking the Bright Lions and building them up and going through kind of like using the leadership or whatever systems that Pathfinder has in existence to work to slowly try to take down Walkena or get him to a point where maybe he'll see reason if that's possible.
Sure.
Yeah.
Good.
But yeah, it's like just going through that and then kind of starting as like a small ragtag group of dissenters that slowly embolden and bring up the Bright Lions and get people to.
So would
rally
you
behind
take
them.
it all the way from the inception of the Bright Lions, or would you take it a group of a group of Bright Lion
Like
recruits?
existing?
Yeah.
I
that
think I would
then
take
over?
existing.
Okay.
And maybe they're downtrodden right now, or they're like, we don't have the strength to really be out there.
Mhm.
And then from this point, where the point where the adventure path would take over is like they're like, all right, it's time. We've maybe some big event happens that they're like, we can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
So you would go from there as a group and try to recruit and build up your army and
Yeah, classic.
take them down.
Would you also have a parallel adventure path, like Hell's Vengeance, where you're playing the opposite side too?
I wouldn't put it past myself to think of an idea like that. I haven't yet, but
So then you're like playing the secret police trying to hunt
Yeah.
down your...
That'd be kind of cool.
yeah,
Okay.
for the people that are like, I kind of want to see what Walkena's like at all facets of the day. Maybe you're working within like his ziggurat or whatever, wherever he's living, and you're like a member of the secret police, or you're a servant, or like attached to his retinue in some way, and you're like, we got to
Nice.
bring down the Bright Lions.
I can't remember. Is Hell's Vengeance and Hell's Rebels at the same time, or are they one after the other? Does anybody know?
I remember reading it when I first started looking into Hell's Rebels. I think one takes place shortly after the other.
I think
but
there's like it might be a little bit of crossover.
There's like a couple days of overlap or
yeah,
something like
but I
that.
think
But
it's mostly separate.
yeah.
It would be cool to have like a parallel, like a 6-book adventure that's split into 3 books
Yeah.
each. So you have like a 3-book hero quest and then a 3-book enemy quest, and like based on what happens during the hero quest, the enemy quest changes.
So would you
Ooh, I
do it
like
as
that.
like one book is devoted to like book 1 is heroes, book 2 is enemies, book 3
Ooh.
is hero, like going back and forth?
I think from a publishing perspective, you would basically have like 2 3-book adventures. But from a playing perspective, that would be cool if you played both of them simultaneously,
Ooh,
like one
this
after
is-
the other.
Because then you could do like 2 concurrent groups,
Yeah.
like working against each other, and then like as they're going along, you'd be like, this happened.
logistically really hard, probably.
But so
I
fun.
am
But that'd be really cool.
I'm a glutton for punishment, so
That'd be really cool.
thinking about doing it is like yes, but then I think I would be in the middle of it and like I don't know why I ever thought of this.
Made a huge mistake.
You're like halfway writing book 2. You're like, this was such a bad idea.
Yeah.
Why did we commit to this?
Nice. Yeah, I like
Yeah,
that.
that's my idea.
Nice.
All right.
Okay.
I like that. Mine's kind of off the second one, but it has a way different tone, I think. So I also thought it'd be fun to like play as part of Walkena's retinue,
Mhm.
governmental structure, whatever
Yeah.
it is. But have you ever played like Papers, Please?
Yes, yeah.
I've seen it, but I've not played it.
I imagined like playing like a low-level consultant or like a bureaucrat, and like petitioners come to you and you have to like figure out when the best time to have them give their petition to Walkena is.
Yes.
It's just a long game of like this is a nighttime.
Yeah.
This is a nighttime one.
And like, you know, like as a GM, I'd be like, okay, like some of these are like obvious freebies. Like I want Walkena to help me find my lost dog. Like, okay, we'll get you there in the morning.
Yeah.
We'll make it happen. But then someone would come and be like very neutral. Like this person like owes me money, and this person, like I am suing this person. You're like, oh, well, we need to do some investigations and figure this out. And
Man.
maybe have like some sort of mechanic where you can only go to Walkena like one time. Like when you give your report, like that's it. So you need to be like dead sure
What you're
of
bringing.
what you want to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
So would this be like a group of players like all working in like an office and they're like,
Yeah.
so this is what I have.
It's The Office Mzali
yeah.
edition.
Yeah. Yeah. I think like everyone would have like their own little niche of things and they'd all help. And
You all meet for lunch. You're like, yeah, I got a lost dog, so I think I'm gonna bring that in the morning.
That could honestly even be like a cool 1 to 4 just single book adventure.
yes.
Where it's like
yes.
the end game is like you just work
Mm-hmm.
and you
Yeah.
don't die. Like you don't get on Walkena's bad side, but yeah, it's like you just have a adventure based in an office, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Every morning you get there, you're like, all right.
Yeah. The stakes are like simultaneously super low, but also super high. And I think like the ultimate or like the finale is going to be something that like no matter what the thing is, you have to approach him at night.
Oh,
And then it's like, uh-oh.
like he's all booked up. He's only got 6 o'clock, and you're like, this isn't a 6 o'clock.
Or like maybe you like uncover an assassination plot and like you have to be there when it happens at night,
Oh,
but you need to like,
you place like you and your group place yourselves there. You're like, we have to be the ones. that take
well,
this
you
down.
also like make it happen so that he doesn't know you're there. Like you want the assassination attempt to occur, but you don't want it to kill Walkena.
yeah. Ooh, that'd be funny. Like, yeah. It's like it becomes a stealth mission of like you're trying to complete the mission without anybody knowing that you're trying to complete the mission.
Yeah.
Nice. I
Yeah,
like
definitely a much more humorous vibe. I
Yeah.
think that could be fun too.
that. Little slapstick.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, the character idea I had probably would not fit in there at all. But
It's a very different
Yeah,
character.
we were like, how do you fit? Or Rodney said he's like, oh, I have an idea for a character, and we're like, cool, we'll put you into both adventures. Okay, Rodney, you're up.
so just mine was originally piggybacking off of their long history of like a gladiatorial deal.
Mhm.
It would be just like this fighter with a gladiator background, and his whole family, like his like a line of like his lineage is just like great, maybe not champions, but great gladiator warriors. So maybe now I can shoehorn him into this, and he's like, well, we don't do the gladiator thing anymore. So he's just trying to make his way. And he's like this big, large guy who's like, his family is just like bred for fighting, but he's like, we don't really do that anymore. So I
Gotta
just
get a day job.
I got a desk job at Walkena's.
You gotta work a salary.
Yeah. He's just like this. He knows how to fight, but he's just like, I just handle paperwork. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he sounds like a natural for like the Dissenter campaign too, obviously.
Yeah.
Like, being the muscle
yeah,
is
but-
very clearly in the scope.
I have I've dabbled in investigator, but I could also make an investigator that would be more, he would be like more like shrewd and maybe discerning with the documentation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be a better role, a better fit for your adventure.
The slapstick one.
Yeah.
I mean,
But I think a large gladiator, like that when you see him like walking down the street, you're like, that guy fights, and he's just like, he's just like
Has a little
I'm on-
briefcase.
yeah, and he's just walking into an office. He's like, good morning, everybody.
it's almost like Mr. Incredible, like from the
Yeah.
first,
Oh,
from
yeah.
the first Incredibles movie.
Yep.
The entire movie was just him at the office.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's only the office scenes of the
It's
Incredibles.
just- that's it.
That was my favorite part of the movie.
That is relatable.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be awesome. That'd be so much fun, honestly. I mean, then if this is happening, then I have to play like a goblin, I think.
A goblin supervisor.
Yeah.
You're like a goblin team lead. Where you're like, all right, folks.
Goblin Dwight.
Yes. You're a goblin team lead, and you come through. You're like, all right, here's your assignments for the day, and you just
We need to be lean today. We need to do a quick scrum to get
Oh my
everybody
gosh.
together.
I could actually do that. Just say whatever I do at my normal day job.
There you
And
go,
everyone's
yeah.
like, what the hell is he talking about?
there you go.
Nice. Awesome.
Oh my gosh, you could have a productivity number. That could be the metric of like, you have to like have
It's
so
like
many.
instead of a reputation score, it's like productivity. You're like, how
Yeah,
many?
like, you have to get so many petitions through successfully.
Ooh, yeah. You have to hit your quotas.
Basically,
Oh, yeah. It's like
Is it like weekly? So every week you do like a check. And
it's
you're like,
it's monthly. The book the adventure is 4 months, and it's like it's like a quarter of a bit, like it's near the it ends with like the end of the financial quarter.
Walkena comes down. Hey, end of the FY's coming up.
Yeah.
Guys. We good?
but he's like super chill because
Yeah.
it's like 8 a.m. It's like,
Yeah, he's got his
"Hey,
coffee. He's got his
everybody."
coffee in the morning.
Hit
He's
our
like,
fiscal year.
how are we looking for the FY? And you're like, looking great, sir. See you at lunch.
Office Space. The campaign.
TPS reports.
Okay, well if we ever do a Gen Con campaign again, Ryan, that's your good.
Oh, that would be a really funny one.
That would be a good one. Just do like a short, like 1 day or like a 1 week.
That would be really funny.
A week in the office.
Oh, that would be super funny. Okay.
Ryan was not planning on GMing at Gen Con this year.
I don't think we're gonna make it to Gen
No.
Con this
Yeah.
year, but
yeah. I don't think so.
that would be a really good
Maybe
idea.
next year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
It gives you time to prepare.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So before we leave, we have to give this a score.
Of some
What
things.
should our metric be?
Sun gods? I feel like we did
Lions?
Sun gods for some reason.
Lions?
Sons?
I mean, suns makes the most sense
Yeah.
because you have Walkena the
Undead
suns. the old
children.
sun gods. How much undead
Mummies.
children? I think we do suns. I think suns.
Suns? Okay.
There's one place that embodies suns. It's,
Okay.
realms. Okay, so 0 out of 10 suns. What do we give this?
I don't think I'm below a 6.
As a tourism place, a 0.
Oh, that's
Yes,
true. It's tourism perspective. Yeah, you'll get killed.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah. Okay, so obviously as a tourism place, do not go here.
Yeah, that's very
But
true.
so let's score this as a place to be.
I think I was around 7 or 8, but it's like depending on your personality, I think.
Yeah.
If you're someone who's like, I'm good at just keeping my nose down, going to work, doing what I'm supposed to do, it's going to be fine.
Yeah, if you I know the tourist thing is obviously like a non-starter, but
Yeah.
if you were like a clandestine tourist, like keep your head down, do your thing, spend a couple days, see the sights and leave.
Yeah, I feel like I'd go maybe like 6 or 7.
6 or 7, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. That seems reasonable.
I'll lock it in at 7.
Maybe 7?
Uh,
6?
I feel like 6 is better because we also give it a 0.
That's true.
Yeah, that'll bring it down.
Yeah.
That brings down the curve.
The curve. Yeah, I think 6 is good because it's like, to live there is mostly fine. Like you also can't really leave that easily.
Yeah.
So if you
True.
are fine just living your life there.
It feels like the way less bad version of Razmir.
Yeah, yeah.
Like Razmir is also like, you have a dude who's a god, but like Razmir is just murdering people on the streets.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
it's not that bad.
And here, as long as you are as long as you are Mwangi and local
And not suspicious.
Yeah.
not suspicious, it's not bad.
Yeah, the secret police is kind of a questionable thing because, I mean, you could just cross Walkena's path wrong at lunch, and then at night he's like, I didn't like the way that guy looked at me. And you could be like, that's like living your life normally, and then just one bad day.
Like, go home at 3 p.m.
Yeah,
Like you want to be back home before he gets out of analytical mode.
right.
I think for me, I'm out in the morning and before lunch, I'm trying to work from home. I'm working. I go out for breakfast.
I'm hitting breakfast, grocery store, get a couple hours in the office, out.
Yeah.
Our month 2 of your campaign is a big RTO mandate.
Oh man, this is hitting too close to home now.
Oof.
A lot of parallels we've seen today.
Everybody has to come in.
Oh.
Walkena made this decision at night, last night.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
We ask him. He keeps switching back. In the mornings, he's like totally okay with work from home.
Yeah, he's like, why are there so many people here in the morning?
Just go enjoy your day.
Yeah, I just imagine the curveballs you could throw at us just based on his different moods. Like
Oh my
you could
gosh.
have you can have tables set up for in the morning he's like this.
100%. I'd have some kind of how is Walkena feeling roll.
Today is the planned happy hour, and you're like, guys, it was a bad afternoon.
Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna go to the happy hour tonight. But then you'd be like, am I suspicious for not going?
Ooh.
Right when he's shifting into his paranoid mode, he'd be like,
But even I'd totally have them go to a happy hour or something and then come back and the office is all the furniture's gone. It's like, what happened? What happened?
well, kind of decided that you guys aren't productive when there's chairs to sit on. So
But it's
everybody has to stand up.
But it's the same office, just one room over.
Yeah.
Everything's the same, but he just moved you one room.
The sun shone better in this area
Yeah.
than the other area.
Yeah.
He liked the sun rays.
He didn't like the shadow in that corner. He moved you.
Dang it. Well, now we got to play this.
Yeah,
one.
I would be happy to play in this.
Okay.
Ryan, write it. Do it.
I'll put it on the list.
Okay.
The
Cool.
ever growing list.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Rodney.
Yeah, thanks, Rodney.
Thanks for having me. Hopefully the folks out there were entertained.
Yeah.
And I did my best Sam impression.
You did a
Yeah,
great Sam
absolutely.
impression.
Keeping us on track. Yeah.
Though I guess once Sam listens to the episode, she will give the final ruling. So next week, that's what we'll do is the person who was not here will give the grade of the guest host the next episode.
Okay. Yeah.
And then Sam has the final word. And then if you don't do well, you get voted out of the
get
Patreon.
voted out.
Like
You
a
get voted-
gladiator, thumbs up, thumbs down.
You get voted out of the Patreon.
So why do you guys just go back down to 2 hosts? Well, our guest hosts couldn't make the cut.
Nobody could match the greatness.
Yeah. That's what it is. I didn't think I was going to be able to live up to Sam. So
Yeah.
That's fair.
shout out to Sam.
Yeah.
I can
Yeah.
hear her upstairs.
Yep. She's upstairs hanging with the baby. This will probably be me next week, hanging up. But yeah, so a reminder, like I said, we have a Patreon, link in the show notes on our website, or search for us, Tabletop Travel Guide Podcast. Thanks to all our listeners, and sorry we had such a long break. Best laid plans, right?
Yeah.
We were thinking, 6 weeks.
Yeah. How bad
Yeah.
could it be?
How bad could it be?
Speaking on behalf of the listeners, we missed you guys. So we'll be
thanks,
excited
man.
to.
Thank you.
I probably won't listen to this one because I hate the sound of my own voice, but
It grows on you.
It's I go back and forth. Sometimes I'll listen, and then sometimes I'm I'll start the episode. I'm like, I'm done.
I
can't.
love the sound of my voice now. And I used
You
to
edit though. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
I edit, so I have to
Yeah.
listen to it all the time. So
yes, you have to love it.
I'm once I've gone, I used to hate the sound of my voice until I started doing the podcast, and then by the end, I'm like, I've just gotten so used to it that it now, my brain registers it as how I hear myself.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, if you're enjoying the pod, leave us a rating or review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Tell your friends. Tell them, hey, this podcast that was been on break. We're back, baby.
We're back, baby.
They're back, baby.
I did see, I was really bummed, and I appreciate the person on Reddit who commented. I always like to see if people are commenting about us on Reddit because I'm that guy. And somebody was like, hey, I want, somebody had a post of I want good discussion podcasts. I don't want an actual play. I want a good discussion podcast. And of course, every other podcast recommendation gets 70 upvotes and a bunch of comments. This one had 2.
Sure.
I'm like, dang it.
People like Let's Plays.
Yeah. So unfortunately that post didn't take off. But the one comment on there said Tabletop Travel Guides.
Hey,
so,
we have a niche.
yeah.
There you go.
I was just perfect post for us. Gained 0 traction. It's fine. This is fine.
It'll happen.
Yeah. So yeah, feel free to reach out to us via email, tabletoptravelguidepodcast@gmail.com. Hit us up on the Instagram that we never use, that I need to get back to. It's fine. But yeah, until next time, safe travels.
Bye-bye.